What is good, YouTube? It's the Babbling Bros. I'm Dan.
I'm Taylor.
And today we are going to be talking about the divisional round in the NFL.
So, to start off, we had the Bills versus Ravens. The Bills won 17-3 in an extremely defensive game. Even one of the Bills' touchdowns, so 7 of the Bills' points came off of an interception return. So that just tells you right there how defensive it really was.
Yeah, and it kind of came as a shock because I was expecting an offensive game. You know, you have the firepower of Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson. And the fact that it was such a defensive-minded game came as a shock. There was only 13 points scored on the offensive end, and as Taylor said, 7 were defensive points. So to start off, I want to get into basically how I think Josh Allen is a way better quarterback than Lamar Jackson. Last show, we were talking about how, I was talking about how I believe Lamar Jackson, he could run, obviously, athletic, and he is an intellectual player, but his passing game needs a lot of work, and I think that showed in today's game. You put him against a defense that has proven itself throughout the season, and he just could not perform. You had the pick six, you had incomplete passes, underthrowing, overthrowing, and Josh Allen, although he did not have monstrous numbers, showed that he is a consistent quarterback who can produce.
Yeah, I mean, it shows in their stats, too. Lamar Jackson went 14 for 24 for 162 yards, no touchdowns, and an interception, where Allen went 23 for 37 for 206 yards and a touchdown. I mean, the lack of attempts for Lamar could be because he got hurt.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to take that into account, too. But either way, you don't have any touchdowns rushing or passing from Lamar Jackson, and you have an interception. That's huge.
Mm-hmm.
Like that is in a playoff game like that, you can't be making those mistakes, and you have to produce for your team when you're the star player like he is.
100%. So what I saw from the game when I was watching, I did a little bit of analysis. I saw that the cornerbacks and the linebackers, even for the Bills, were playing very high, so they weren't playing right on their man. So basically, what this did is basically it made Lamar Jackson so that he couldn't run. So Lamar Jackson, they disrespected Lamar's passing game. They said if Lamar is going to beat us, he's going to beat us with the pass. And by playing the cornerbacks high, if Lamar were to escape the pocket and get on a little run, he couldn't run for 20, 30 yards like he usually does every game. The cornerbacks would come up and they'd stop him for a 5-yard gain, 10 at most. I think Lamar had one major big scramble during the game for 20 or 30 yards. But besides that, you look at Lamar Jackson's rushing attempts. I don't know if we have it, but he didn't rush for that much. I think he ran for 39 yards, which isn't like usually what Lamar Jackson does.
Yeah, I mean, the Bills definitely played the game very well on both sides of the ball. They possessed the ball. They only had 32 rush yards, the Bills, but they passed the ball with no problem. But on defense, like you were just saying, they schemed their defensive play very well against who they were playing.
Mm-hmm.
And they figured out how to stop him, and they figured out his weaknesses and what they can do. But the Bills' defense was already good, and they've played well all season long. We knew this coming into the game, and I had a feeling it was going to be an issue for Lamar, and it turned out to be.
Yep. How did he do that? Who did he play against last week? I completely forgot. The Titans, right?
Yeah, the Titans.
And last week he had a rushing touchdown. And I think he had one passing touchdown. Maybe he didn't play that great against the Titans either.
No,
he kind of
the Titans beat themselves.
So it just goes to show that Lamar Jackson's great, obviously a great quarterback, but he's got to get into the training facility and work on his passing game.
At this point, I wouldn't even say he's a great quarterback. I would say he's a great athlete and a great playmaker.
I'd agree.
You can't really say he's a great quarterback right now, and his play in the playoffs show it. I mean, yeah, he can run all over the field. He can make people miss. He can make things happen. But the thing that separates, say, him from, say, a Russell Wilson is his ability to finish and his ability to make the pass when it needs to be made instead of just tucking the ball and running.
100%. And I want to look at the defensive play made by the Bills. So the Bills pick six, 100-yard return was by
101 yards. Yeah, that was crazy.
It was by a player by the name of Teron Johnson. Now I don't know if any of you saw this video, during the NFL Combine, where there was a player who looked the wrong way on a pass attempt, and it hit him right in the head. And it was such an embarrassing video, and it's been on Bleacher Report and ESPN and everything for years and years. I think 4 years now. That was the player who just got this pick six and returned it for a touchdown. So he got his redemption. He got his moment to shine, and he made up for whatever happened during that NFL Combine.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think there's much more else to say about this game. But the Bills definitely outplayed the Ravens. The Ravens didn't play great. They only scored 3 points. So, but
you can't win if you don't score. That's the name of the game.
Yeah, but let's move on to the Bucs versus Saints. This game was definitely an interesting one, to say the least. Mm-hmm. And the Saints started off strong. They started out winning the game. I was watching the game. I didn't see the Bucs being able to come back, and then Drew Brees just, honestly, he played terrible. He had 3 interceptions. He only threw for 1 touchdown, only had 134 yards, and he was 19 for 34. Those are very mediocre numbers at best.
They're not even mediocre. That's
I mean, for someone who has been such a high caliber quarterback for all these years, I don't know what happened to him. Drew Brees, combined with the play of some of his receivers, because one of those interceptions wasn't his fault. One of them, it was off the receiver's hands or whatever the case may be. It wasn't his fault. Can't blame him for that. But 2 interceptions even in a playoff game from such a high caliber quarterback is unacceptable in my mind. But between him throwing those interceptions, I mean, Jared Cook fumbled and lost the fumble. I mean, how do you, against a team like the Bucs, who have such high firepower, you can't really come back from 4 turnovers like that?
Yeah, so basically, I agree. What I saw in this game is that it was 2 legends going at it. You had Tom Brady and you had Drew Brees, a staple of people who are me and Taylor's age. Like, we watched them our entire lives growing up, and it was going to be interesting to see who would win and who would get the upper hand. And Drew Brees just didn't shine during his moment, and that was probably his last game as a Saint, probably his last game at the Superdome, and now
probably his last game ever.
He'll retire, and
most likely. So
Tom Brady, we were having this argument before, so I think Tom Brady played very well. You know, what was his stats again? He had 1 rushing touchdown, 1 passing touchdown.
Tom Brady went 18 for 33. That's a little bit over 50% passing. He had 199 yards, 2 passing touchdowns, and a rushing touchdown.
2 passing touchdowns.
Yeah. I mean,
I think he had a good game. Like, he did not do anything to beat himself or...
Yeah, but he didn't play up to the caliber of him either. He didn't play great. He didn't play... I mean, he played okay. He played average.
He doesn't need to play great. He just needs to play well. He needs to play a good, solid game. He doesn't have to throw 4 touchdowns. He doesn't have to have a 75% completion percentage. He just has to do exactly what he did today. 2 touchdowns, 1 rushing touchdown, and, make the passes when they need to be made. First of all, Tom Brady has no zip on the ball. A lot of the passes were little floaters over the defense. Barely got it into the receiver's hands before the defender was creeping on him, and then as soon as they caught the ball, popped him because he has no speed behind the ball.
Right.
But that's all he needs to do. That's all
in this game, because Drew Brees lost that game. Drew Brees lost the game. Yeah. If Brees plays up to the caliber, or even just above average, because for Brees it was a very average, mediocre game. If he plays above average in this game, the Saints win, and then Tom Brady loses because Tom Brady didn't play good. He got lucky.
Drew Brees.
He got lucky in this game.
He didn't get lucky, but Drew Brees did help the cause for Tom Brady. Drew Brees had an awful game, but I think even if Drew Brees, let's say his stats were, you take away an interception, you add another touchdown pass, I think Tom Brady still
You take away 1 interception and add another touchdown pass, the Saints probably win this game.
Okay, but the outcome of the game would be altered because Tom Brady would step up his game as well. So like you can't make that assumption, you take away this.
All right, I mean, Tom Brady plays like this against the Packers next week, they lose hands down, no questions asked.
We'll get into that later, but I predicted the Buccaneers beating the Saints, so thank you very much.
Not for nothing.
I'm 9-1 in my predictions this postseason.
Not for nothing, too, on top of that. there's no way that Brady is playing up to the same caliber as he normally does.
Well, he's old.
I understand that, but he's not playing up to the same caliber as we're used to from Tom Brady.
No, but
right?
Look at him. He's in the NFC Championship game.
I understand that. But, I mean, the Bucs didn't win that game. The Saints lost that game.
The Saints did not lose the game, per se.
They started out in the lead, and they gave it up
Bucs,
with 3 interceptions and a fumble.
But so the score was 20-13 New Orleans. And then I forgot what happened, but Tom Brady came down, scored a touchdown. Then they got a field goal, and then they got another touchdown in crunch time. One of the touchdown passes was to Leonard Fournette, and then the final touchdown was a rushing touchdown by Brady. First of all, look at the toughness by Tom Brady to take that on the goal line at 43 years old and barrel his way into the end zone. Look at Tom Brady's intellectual ability. He didn't see any of his wide receivers open, so he didn't force the issue. Instead, he waited patiently for Leonard Fournette to block, and then he went right to the middle of the end zone and got a receiving touchdown. Tom Brady had a good game, and Drew Brees did not have a good game, but I think the Bucs win even if Drew Brees has a decent game.
No, absolutely not. No way. If Brees plays up to normal Brees, doesn't turn the ball over 3 times, and Jared Cook doesn't fumble 1 time, like if they play the game that they usually play and as high powered as they usually play on that offense, and I mean not for nothing, Michael Thomas had no receptions.
Michael Thomas did have no receptions.
So I don't know the Saints lost this game. The Bucs didn't win it.
Do you know the name of the cornerback? I don't know the name of the cornerback who shut him down, but that cornerback, good for him. He shut down Michael Thomas, and that could be another reason that Drew Brees threw those interceptions. He tried to go to Michael Thomas, he couldn't squeeze it into him, so he has to look for other options. And you take Michael Thomas out of the equation, and all the other wide receivers aren't on the same page as Drew Brees as much as Michael Thomas. Interceptions, that could be the name of the game.
I mean,
I predicted the Bucs, so
the Saints gave that game away.
All right,
but let's move on to the next one.
Which is?
We got Packers versus Rams.
Packers-Rams.
I mean, just like I said, the Rams weren't going to be able to stop Rodgers. I mean, he went 23 for 36, 296 passing yards, 2 touchdowns, 2 passing touchdowns, and a rushing touchdown. I mean, played lights out. Played great football, played Aaron Rodgers caliber football. Completely expected. The Rams didn't play bad on offense. They're not a great offense.
They don't have the firepower.
They're not a great offense. Jared Goff played well. He went 21 for 27. He had 174 passing yards and a touchdown. I mean,
you can't
ask for much more. Akers had 90 rushing yards and a touchdown. I mean,
Akers had another great game. Akers is going to be the future of that franchise at the running back position for sure. But
I mean, going into this game, I think in the locker room the talk was probably score us, get us 2 touchdowns, 3 touchdowns, and we should be able to win this game. Like in the Rams locker room, because their defense is their strong suit, and their defense let them down. I mean,
so here's how the Packers approach the Rams defense, because the Rams defense is the best in the NFL, and 32 points against the Rams is saying something, and it's saying something that Aaron Rodgers is still the GOAT. But here's how they did it. So Green Bay ran the ball a lot. The total rushing yards for the Green Bay Packers was 188 yards. I'm not sure. They have a 3-back system. I know Aaron Jones got the most, right?
Yeah, so Aaron Jones had 14 carries for 99 yards and a touchdown. Williams had 12 carries for 65 yards. And Dillon had 6 carries for 27 yards and a touchdown.
So basically what they did was they ran the ball. They ground and pounded it. And what this did is after they ground and pounded it and the defense for the Rams had to adjust, it set up the play action pass for Aaron Rodgers. And Aaron Rodgers on the play action was hitting receivers, getting downfield, leading the drive. But if Aaron Jones did not produce in the other 2 running backs, that would not have been possible. So I think the reason the Packers won this game was Aaron Jones and their running game. And also
definitely had a lot to do with it.
One more stat I looked up. Aaron Rodgers has 21 touchdowns and 0 interceptions off play action passes. That's wild.
Yeah, I mean, I think a big part of the success in the rushing game for the Packers was also the fact that Aaron Donald he wasn't himself.
Mm-hmm.
You could tell he was sitting out a lot of plays. He wasn't in on every play like he normally is. When he was in, he wasn't up to his normal caliber play. His ribs were bothering him, and I mean they made special shoulder pads for him that had a piece coming down to block the area of his ribs that were affected by his injury. But he is a huge difference maker on that front line, whether it be rushing the passer, stopping the run, whatever the case may be. He's huge for them, and since he wasn't able to play up to normal standards for himself, that's a big difference maker for the Rams too. I mean, they still have a great defense and still should have played better, like up to a higher caliber because they're capable of it. But that's a big part of it. So, I mean,
well, I think that also plays into what Green Bay's plan was. They saw Aaron
oh,
Donald got
absolutely.
hurt, and they said, you know what, Aaron Donald's hurt. Their defense might not be as great against the run, so you know what, we're going to ground and pound it. And like I said, that set up the pass for Aaron Rodgers, and that's why Aaron Rodgers had a great game, and the run game the run game also had a great game.
Yeah.
And
absolutely.
The Packers defense, you know, it's not the number one defense. It's not the last ranked defense, but it did what it needed to do. 18 points is not a lot. Granted, Jared Goff is, you know, not the best quarterback, and Akers is not the most solidified running back yet. But the Packers just had an all-around game, and
I mean,
it's hard to go against them.
When if you let up 18 points as the Packers, that's not really a big deal. When you have Aaron Rodgers, Devontae Adams,
Aaron
Jones,
Aaron Lazard. Not Aaron. Is it Aaron Lazard?
Lazard.
It's Lazard. I don't know his first name, but
something like that.
He had a deep ball touchdown.
He had a good game. I mean, like when you have weapons like Aaron Rodgers does on your offense, you can let up 18 points and be okay. But I mean, for the Rams, you have to stop the ball, and especially with a defense of your caliber, your team is built around your defense, and they didn't step up the way they could have or should have to win that game. And that was the difference maker. So, moving into our last game, we have the Chiefs versus the Browns. The Chiefs won 22-17. I mean, the Chiefs were in control of that game pretty much the whole time until Patrick Mahomes got hurt, and then the Browns started coming back. Before Mahomes got hurt, he was 21 for 30, 255 yards, one passing touchdown, and a rushing touchdown. I mean, Patrick Mahomes was playing lights out. I mean, 21 for 30, that's insane numbers. That's over 66% of your passes completed. 255 yards, passing touchdown, rushing touchdown. I mean, Henny didn't play bad when he came in, but it's not Patrick Mahomes. I mean, I don't care who you have coming in. You like any backup in the NFL it's just not going to be the same, and it takes away a big part of your offense when Patrick Mahomes goes down.
Yeah,
and that's what really allowed the Chiefs to come back even as much as they did.
So at the beginning of this game, you know, the Chiefs, it looked like it was going to be a blowout. First possession, Mahomes comes down the field, scores a rushing touchdown. Second possession, throwing touchdown to Travis Kelce. Third possession, field goal because of all the penalties that the Chiefs got. It prohibited them from going down the field and scoring another touchdown, but they got a field goal. So that's 3 straight possessions, the first 3 possessions of the game, that they scored. And it looked like, oh, God, here we go again. They're going to completely run up the score. The Browns are not going to be able to keep up. You know, I look at the Browns and what they did. They they had a field goal, so it was 16-3 because the Chiefs missed a PAT attempt. And Baker Mayfield didn't play a bad game. Mayfield had 204 yards on 23 of 37. He had 1 turnover and 1 interception and 1 touchdown. Baker Mayfield had a solid game. He didn't do anything that would lead me to say that Baker Mayfield is the reason that the Browns lost the game. It was just that Patrick Mahomes, in the first 3 possessions of the game, was the Patrick Mahomes that we all know.
I mean, on top of that, too, I believe it was going into the half when, I forget who it was, one of the receivers on the Browns dove into the end zone and fumbled the ball.
Higgins.
Yeah, so that was a turnover and a touchback for the Chiefs. And then they came down and kicked the field goal on the next drive, I believe.
I think they need to change that rule. I hate that rule. You fumble it on the 1 yard line, but it goes into end zone, goes out. Like, you should get it on the 1 yard line. Like, That's ridiculous. Any other position on the field, you fumble out of bounds, you get the ball where it's fumbled out of bounds. I think that needs to be a rule change.
It's one of those tough things. It's because if that's the case, then you have to make it that as soon as it touches the end zone, it's it's dead.
No, you don't have to make it that way. You can
think about it. Think about it. Because if you fumble the ball, let's say you're on the 50-yard line, you fumble the ball. The ball is rolling to the 45 and then goes out of bounds at the 45. As it's rolling to the 45, that's a live ball. Anybody could pick it up, and you could technically advance it, right? Now, if you fumble on the 1, it rolls into the end zone and goes out of bounds. It has to be like the end zone is the out of bounds line, because otherwise, you can't place the ball in the end zone. You know what I'm saying?
It could be if you fumble it in the end zone and the other team recovers, it's a touchback. If you fumble it in the end zone and it rolls out of bounds, it's not the other team's ball. It's just placed on the 1-yard line because the other team did not get to the ball in time before it rolled out of bounds. That's what I think it should be. Because this was a game changer. If that's a touchdown, it's 16-10, and the Browns have the momentum.
It's one of those rules. I get what you're saying, and I'm not disagreeing with you. It's just because now if you make that the rule, let's say you do have a fumble on the 1, you're going to have players, instead of trying to just recover the ball from the offensive side, because it's tougher to actually recover the ball, they're going to dive and try to just hit it out of bounds.
That's an interesting point, but also they wouldn't be trying to do that because if they fumble it in the end zone and they recover in the end zone, it's a touchdown for the offensive team.
Right, but let's say there's an offensive player and a defensive player coming together at the same time. That offensive player isn't risking letting the defensive player get it. He's just going to hit it out of bounds.
Well, I think that's part of the game then. I think that's got to be part of the game.
That it takes away from the competitiveness of it, I believe. I
think the rule that currently stands takes away from the competitiveness of it. Anyways, I want to move into this. Can you read those stats for me? Just read those stats.
Nick Chubb had 13 carries for 69 yards. Kareem Hunt had 6 carries for 32 yards.
And what did they average?
5.3 yards per play.
And how much did they carry it?
Only 19 times?
Only 19 times.
Yeah. I mean,
they should have ran the ball more. They averaged 5.3 yards a carry, and they only ran it 19 times.
Well, I mean, their hands were pretty much tied. They didn't have a choice. They were playing from behind the whole entire game.
That's a good point, but
that's why.
But what about when the score was 22 to? I think it was 22-17 for a while.
That was the final.
Well, it was that score for a while though.
Yeah, I think so.
It was 22-17 for a while. Excuse me, a while. They should have been running the ball during that entire fourth quarter.
When you're playing from behind like that in a playoff game, you need to get the lead. That's what you need to do. That's not from a coaching standpoint. If you're playing from behind in especially in a playoff game, you put the run on the back burner because
you can't get downfield that way.
Right.
Yeah. But at the same token,
especially when you're playing up against a team that's as high powered as the Chiefs.
At the same token, once Patrick Mahomes went out and Chad Henne went in, I don't care. I think our defense is good enough to stop Chad Henne, so I would have just ran the ball. Nick Chubb is a beast. Kareem Hunt's a beast. I think Kareem Hunt had a rushing touchdown, but they both need more carries. That's not enough carries. This Cleveland Browns offense is built around the run game.
Well,
Baker Mayfield is great. I love Baker Mayfield, but it's a running-centered offense.
I mean, yeah, I get what you're saying 100%. But they were scoring points towards the end of the game.
Who?
The Browns doing what they were doing. That's how they started to come back.
Yeah, but
why change what's working? You don't fix what's broke.
It was broke the entire first half.
You don't fix what's not broke. I'm sorry.
It was broke the entire first half, though,
and
it wasn't an insurmountable lead.
Whatever maybe most of these carries came in the second half. I don't know when they came. I don't. I'm not. But they could have came in the second half. Maybe that's what helped them to score those points.
Yeah, but if you're averaging 5.3 yards per carry, let's say you get 2 rushes for 5.3 yards each, that's a first down right there. Who cares? I don't know. That's just my opinion.
Also,
but I see where you're coming from.
what was Nick Chubb's or Kareem Hunt's long run? Because that
It's like
5.3 yard,
it's 10 yards, but they didn't.
That 5.3 could be skewed. Here, let's look it up real quick.
But they don't see. That's the thing, though. You ask what their long run is. They didn't have enough runs to get a long run, and that's what I just think. But once Patrick Mahomes went out, I was really scared that the Browns were gonna actually come back and win this. You can't trust in Chad Henne, and with the way the Browns have been playing, I truly thought they were gonna come back. Chad Henne did not play great. He had that interception in the end zone where it looked like he passed it directly to a Cleveland Brown player. Chad Henne, he had a couple of little first downs,
See, like Nick Chubb's long run was 23 yards. That skews that 5.3 yard average quite a bit when you only have 69 yards rushing. So for the majority of it, they weren't getting 5.3 yards. That one run skews that data.
I agree. Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
Okay, and I relinquished some of what I said based on that fact you just gave me. However, I still think they need to run the ball more, especially when Patrick.
I agree, but when you're playing down, when you're playing from behind and you're coming to try to win, you need big plays to get the balls back in your hands, especially because even though it's not Patrick Mahomes, it's Chad Henne. That Chiefs offense is still such a high-powered offense with Travis Kelce. Tyreek Hill, they're capable of big plays. Like you need to score quick and try to get the ball back to try to score again when you're playing an offense like that. I don't care who your quarterback is. Yes, obviously it's more high powered with Patrick Mahomes. I get that 100%. But you really need to score quick and try to get the ball back when you're playing from behind like that.
All right, so I guess we'll move into next week's games, which it's going to be the Chiefs.
It's going to be the Chiefs versus the Bills.
Bills.
And then the Packers versus the Bucs.
Packers versus Bucs. So,
let's start off with Chiefs Bills.
Yeah, so you want to go? Or you want me to go?
I'll go.
Right.
So, here's the big thing for this game. Obviously, it's Patrick Mahomes.
Mm-hmm.
Patrick Mahomes has a concussion, and he's day-to-day. He basically, I was watching something earlier. I forget what, but I was watching something on ESPN earlier. And what they were saying about the injury is that he'll be cleared to play once he reaches his baseline score for the concussion test.
So they're going to test him every day, probably.
Pretty much. And they also said that out of 20-something quarterbacks with a concussion, and I don't know how long, probably the last few years, whatever, but it was 20-something quarterbacks, the median time for recovery is 7 days, which would bring him right to the game. So he's going to be a game-time decision.
I think he'll play.
It's not up to him.
It's not up to him, but also I'm going to be quite honest with you. The NFL is kind of a little bit grimy when it comes to this stuff.
Not anymore. They're not. They're so strict with concussion rules and concussion protocol now. They don't have. It's not even the team doctor decision at this point. It is the outside NFL concussion protocol doctors.
Yeah, but you also have
making this decision.
You also have to realize Patrick Mahomes is the face of the NFL. They're going to do anything in their power to get him to play. I can put money on it that they are not going to let Patrick Mahomes sit out this game. Patrick Mahomes is going to be cleared to play.
If he doesn't pass that concussion test, he doesn't play. I guarantee it.
All right. Well, anyway.
But that's what this game is going to come down to. Mahomes is obviously way better than Chad Henne. He is a much more high-powered quarterback, can make the bigger plays, can use his feet better, can make better throws, the whole 9 yards. He has the chemistry with his receivers that Henne doesn't have. Everything. The Bills have a very good defense.
Mm-hmm.
If Mahomes is not out there and Chad Henne is out there, the Bills are going to be able to stop the Chiefs. And I believe that the Bills will win the game if Mahomes doesn't play.
If Mahomes plays,
I think the Chiefs are going to take it. Because I don't think the Bills' offense, although they do have weapons and they are a good offense, I don't think they are high-powered enough to keep up with the Chiefs.
And this is going to be at Kansas City?
Yes.
Okay. So here's my thoughts on this game. Obviously, as we just discussed, it comes down to Patrick Mahomes. However, even if Patrick Mahomes comes back, I think the Bills are going to win this game. The reason I say this concussions are serious. Concussions are dangerous, and even if he comes back, I don't think he's going to be 100%. Josh Allen and Stephon Diggs, their chemistry, they have like the biggest bromance in the NFL. Their chemistry is insane. Stephon Diggs has become the best wide receiver in the NFL this year. Who's the running back for the Bills? I'm having it blank.
Oh, me too. Singletary?
Is it? Because somebody else. I thought it was someone else.
No, I think it's Singletary.
Okay, anyway.
I'll double check.
I think the Bills are going to win this. I think the Bills have all the momentum. They've won, I think, their last 10 games. They've won by decent margins most of their games. They're coming off a big win just last week against the Ravens. Josh Allen.
Yeah, Singletary.
It is Singletary. Okay. So I think Singletary has to produce this game. If the
Which he wasn't able to do.
He wasn't able to do last week. I thought he was going to produce last week. I predicted him having a big game. So I'm going to say the same thing. Singletary has to have a big game rushing to open up the pass game for Josh Allen to Stephon Diggs. If that doesn't happen, it can get a little messy for the Bills against the Chiefs if Patrick Mahomes is back. But either way, I still think the Bills are going to win this one. I think Bills Mafia is going to the Super Bowl. That's what I think. I think the Chiefs are a great team, but I just think they're going to get upset by the Bills. So I'm circling the Bills.
I mean, if Mahomes plays, there's no way. There's no way that the Bills beat a full-fledged Chiefs team. There's no way. The Chiefs are too good. They're too good.
Yeah, but even
they have the pass. They have the run. They have an above-average defense. They are too good of a
Andy
team.
Andy Reid, a good head coach. Yes,
yeah, they are too good and they were just here last year. They know how to deal with the pressure, and I don't think anybody on the Bills really has been in this situation before. Who knows how they react to the pressure?
I just have a gut feeling. Listen, I'm 9-1 with my predictions. I just have a gut feeling the Bills are going to win this, even if Patrick Mahomes is back. That's my gut feeling.
I think they do if Mahomes doesn't play, but if Mahomes plays, there's no way.
All right, let's go into the next game then.
And then we got Packers-Bucs. There's no way the Bucs win this game. Brady is way past his prime. He has so many weapons on his team. And, I mean, yeah, he had a good season. He had an above-average season. But he lacks the big playability that Aaron Rodgers has. Their defense isn't good enough to stop Aaron Rodgers the way that they would need to in order to hold the score low enough. And their offense, while it is good, yes, I think that the Packers' defense is, especially in the pass game, is a good defense and has the ability to stop the Bucs offense. I don't see any way that the Packers lose this game.
My opinion on it, I do not mind Tom Brady. Like I said, I'm a Giants fan, and we beat him twice, so I want to see Tom Brady win this game. I want to see the Bucs go to the Super Bowl, and I want to see the Bucs win the Super Bowl. Like, that is the team I would be happy to see win it all. However, I have to put my bias, my fan bias aside, and I have to put the Packers to win this game. The game's going to be at Lambeau Field in the frigid weather.
That's another thing.
The Tampa Bay Buccaneers play in Tampa Bay. Okay? They're not used to the cold weather like that. Aaron Rodgers is explosive. If they could run the ball like they did last game, and then Aaron Rodgers gets into the play action, he hasn't thrown an interception in the play action. He's going to throw a couple pass touchdowns. He's going to make good reads. I don't think he's going to throw an interception against this Bucs defense. The Bucs defense isn't bad, but they're not great. Tom Brady, listen, the Packers defense is a good defense. You know, who did the Bucs play this? Oh, the Saints defense is good too, though.
They're not bad.
I just think the Packers are going to win this. The Packers have too much firepower, and the game's at Lambeau Field. That's basically my consensus.
Yeah, I agree with that 100%.
So that means the Super Bowl, in my opinion, is going to be the Packers versus the Bills. And we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be, regardless of who makes it to the Super Bowl from the AFC, it's going to be a good game against the Packers. That's how confident I am that the Bucs are going to lose this game. I don't see any possible way the Bucs win this game.
Do you think the Packers have a higher likelihood of making it, or the Chiefs do?
Packers.
The Packers, 100%.
Packers against the Bucs.
it's going to be
because
tough.
of the question marks around Patrick Mahomes. If Mahomes didn't get hurt this week and there was no question marks there, then I would say the Chiefs do, because the Chiefs are just that good in my opinion. But because of that, it raises a lot of questions and is going to make it more difficult for the Chiefs. But if he plays, I don't see them losing either.
All right,
but
so
it's going to be an interesting weekend of football.
definitely.
Again,
I'm excited to watch both games. I can't pick which one I'm more excited about because I think they're both going to be. I think the Chiefs-Bills game is going to be very, very close. I think the Packers versus Bucs is going to be like maybe a 13-point victory for the Packers, maybe even 17-point victory. But I'm excited to watch both games.
Yeah, absolutely. They're both going to be good games to watch. But I guess we'll see what happens. Until next week, we will talk about. Oh, there's no Pro Bowl this year.
There's no Pro Bowl?
No. I mean, the players are getting honored as Pro Bowlers, but there's no actual game, which that's unfortunate. I look forward to watching the Pro Bowl's fun to watch. All the activities they usually
do. Next video, some more MLB free agents will sign, and we'll keep you up to date with that. I want to make a video talking about the first 15 or so games of the NBA season because we haven't talked about that. We've just been so entrenched with this football stuff, so we'll let you know what's coming. Keep up to date with us. Don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe, and thank you for tuning in.
Don't forget to follow us on Instagram. Comment, like, subscribe, do your thing. Let your friends know. We enjoy the support. We appreciate it. We'll catch y'all later.
And comment.